Hey folks. All right, I'm going to walk you through my tune called Soul of the Matter today. It's going to take a little while, maybe a half hour. Honestly, we could spend quite a few hours getting into the nitty gritty. And if you watch this and you have some questions for me, I'm happy to dive even deeper. Let's see, I'm going to go ahead and play us the track now. And the we'll just listen to like through the head and into the first chorus of solo. All right, there's the chart. The C section now. Vamping D section. This is the B section. So now we're into the solos. First 4 bars go 4 times. That's once. That's twice. Three. Four. And then goes on to the last 4 bars and loops back. Woo, and John Ellis is just, what a monster. Awesome. So let's talk through this tune. So if we look at the A section, what's really happening here is that it's melody led, and I'm reharmonizing under a melody. So I've got a sheet that I'll share with you about how I think about kind of my inventory or strategies of possibilities when it comes to reharm. I guess I have two sheets. So I'm going to go ahead and pull one of those up in a few minutes, but let's just take a look at the melody itself right now. I mean, it's if you know the kind of what we call Kansas City blues scale. It's the E flat Kansas City blues scale, right? Which is a pentatonic with the chromatic tone there on the sharp 2 or flat 3, and we get all this classic jazz language, right? And I'm just really using that set of notes to sing, all right? So second iteration of that line, and if you're watching this, I'm sure you've done some composing or maybe tons of composing. The idea of repetition and variation is very familiar. This shows up all the time in my own compositions, where I got a melody. Oftentimes it's like this, a 4-bar phrase, and then I repeat it, but I change something at the end. And same thing here, right? Second time. So that second time I'm introducing some non-diatonic minor 4 chord, right? Now there's lots of harmony underneath this, and just to be real, like it could have been a lot of different things, but as I was harmonizing it, I'm searching for things that feel feel the progression of emotion that I want it to feel, the progression of color that I want it to feel. Part of this was definitely starting on this chord for me. I had this in mind from the beginning, but then really wasn't sure. So this A flat minor, E flat over G, A flat minor. Okay, this all is still in E flat, then we depart. We get to D flat major, C alters, which is leading us to F minor. In a way, this is just a simple cadence to the 2, right? Flat 6, 5 to the 2, of the 2, I should say. And adding one extra chord in here. This leading down with a minor 7 flat 5, a half step above a minor chord. So G flat minor 7 flat 5 leads to F minor. Is a nice movement that I've picked up from some gospel kind of stuff. A cat named Anomaly. If you haven't checked out Anomaly, very hip, modern cat from Montreal. All right, then I'm moving up in parallel to get back to A flat minor. And this is something that happens a lot in this tune. So once I use this here, it became a motif. Right? F minor, G minor, A flat minor. I'm going to A flat minor 6. It's a little different there. And here I had a choice to make. And I remember when I was writing this tune back in like 2017, 2018. I think it was 2018. I really struggled with that chord. I wasn't sure what I wanted right there. But I realized, oh, I want this motion to keep getting maximal tension and then back to B flat, right? And again, so it's about the color and the tension and release, the progression, that where do you want it to lead, where do you want the pull and the tension to be, and then to get you back. So right there, this is like your Thelonious Monk, Duke Ellington dominant 7, flat 5, maximal tension, and this should, quote unquote, resolve to A flat major, right? A7 flat 5 is like a tritone sub of E flat 7. But instead we're gonna go up to B flat. And another little tidbit for your Amazon warehouse of cool things, a half step below altered dominant 7 leads up chromatically really nicely. That can be to major, minor, or sus chords, just a half step below the altered dominant, and move it up a half step. Also, if you think about A7 wanting to lead to A flat major, well, this is A flat major over B flat. Okay? So, all the gravity works. But the bass note gives us a different meaning. Second time, it's all the same. We get to A flat minor again. This time, we're not going to have that tension. We're going to have a cadence. I could have had this resolve to E flat major, but I wasn't ready to have it feel like home yet. So we're going to use this E flat major over G again. Now again, I'd already started to feel this like gospel vibe in this tune. Da 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 is already kind of very much in this soulful, jazzy soul melody zone. And so now I'm starting to go even more gospel. Da, 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 with the leading diminished chord from B diminished to C minor. Ooh, I'm showing you an old chart. Whoops. Right in here, B diminished to C minor. And then F minor. So I get a little, you can see it in the bass, B, C, F. I appended this chart, but I pulled up an old one. So C minor to F, then C minor, A minor. Now again, parallel, right? So I basically got two motifs that I'm pulling back, just pulling out of that magic hat, right? The parallel minor being one of them. And this is a really important aspect of my compositional mind. Parallel moving down. So F minor, C minor, A minor. Now here, I got you G flat minor 7 flat 5. And before I did this, I went G flat minor to F minor. But I'm going to go G flat minor to G minor this time. And it's going to give you a lift, right? Instead of going down a half step, we're going up a half step. And a minor 7 flat 5, just as well as it goes down a half step, goes just as well up a half step. More minor chords. So even just in these 3 bars, I use C minor 3 times, but it's never really as a landing point. It's just as part of the texture. We're in E flat major. C minor is definitely in, right? All right. So even in here, all E flat major, literally all of it, E flat major. And then that's still E flat major. But I'm I'm going to reharm this, and we're going somewhere else. So I already used this 13 sus4 chord on B flat, right? Now, on D flat leads us to G flat major. And we're just going to lean into the little mini modulation. And then I want some color change. I want to move somewhere different, right? Spent a lot of time in E flat major, melodically and harmonically, and now we have this is our gateway out of it. Modulate to G flat major, but what else? Let's make it minor. It could have been lots of different things. We could have modulated up to E major, but so I'm just using my opportunities when they present themselves through the music, through the phrasing, right? Look at the B section. Ba da dee da 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 dee da da. Okay, two bar phrase, excuse me. Ba da dee da 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 da. Another two bar phrase, and then dee da 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 dee da 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 da. All right. Dee da 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 da. Here we go. And now we can land somewhere new. And I just really wanted to color change. Like, let's change it up. And now we're going to change up the whole feel. It's going to go into 6/8. And this is, honestly, just an application of creative imagination. What do we have for elements? I made a little cheat sheet for myself, but they're all obvious. Melody, harmony, rhythm, texture, style, motif, and loops as another thing. We'll get there. Motif has already been a thing, right? And now I'm going to change the motif. I'm going to change the texture by changing the technique in the bass line. I'm going to change the rhythm by changing the meter and the stylistic feel. And this is a big moment of shift, right? Kind of set it up harmonically with that modulation, then change to minor. Right? If you're ever at a loss of like, I really want to change, but what should I do? Try changing the chord type that you're on. Don't even go to a new key or new chord. Just change the chord type. I went from G flat major to G flat minor. Woo! And then that presents a whole other opportunity, because what is G flat minor? Oh, well, it's F sharp minor actually. And that relates to D major, it relates to E major, it relates to A major. It could be any of these things. Except now, instead of going to A major, I'm going to go to A minor. What does A minor relate to? Gosh, it could be the 2 in G, which is how I use it. It could be the 3 in F. It could be, right, any number of, it could be the 6 in C. But that really worked for my phrasing. I'm really phrasing in like 2 chords and 2 lines, right? 2 linear phrases. Dee da 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 da. And finally, we're gonna get here. There's a point where you're imposing your will as a composer, and there's a point where you're relenting your will, and you are actually letting the music kind of lead and open up the potentials. Every choice you make is like, that's enough. That creates a ton of implications. And the music is what tells you what the implications are, right? That's music theory, that's music intuition, That's the phrasing. It's stylistic consideration, stylistic, um, kind of templates. So as soon as you make a choice, you don't have to make a ton of other choices right away. Not in terms of like coming up with new stuff. You have to make choices that relate to that choice you just made, right? Uh, and that could be any of those things: harmony, rhythm, style, melody, etc., motivic development. Here, the choice to change from major to minor, moving up. The implication is we go to A major, F sharp, E over G sharp. We would go to A major. But I already made a choice to go from major to minor, so let's do it again. Minor. We're still playing jazz, right? Let's try a 2-5. I could have gone A, G over B, and wound up on C, right? That would have been following in an implication. F sharp minor, E over G to A major, except make it A minor, G over B to C major. Maybe make it C minor, right? But at that point, I felt the melody tugging at a new place, and my desire to get to a new feeling, right? Okay, so I made a choice. We're gonna get here. We're gonna start a bass line. All right, G major, G minor. Is that familiar, right? Motif, right? I already changed major to minor twice. So let's do it again. Keep that bass line as a motif. Now, I really wanted some tension here. What's more tense than the major 7 on a tritone away, superimposed over the root? So D flat major 7 superimposed over G. That's about as tense as you can possibly get. Still G minor. So pattern, G major, G minor, G major, G minor, but I'm intervening with some major tension in there. G minor, major, tension, minor. And now, by intervening with that tension, I set the minor on a different path, right? Set the minor at the beginning of the next 4-bar phrase. Remember one of the motifs that I set up early on, right? Like bar 3 for the first time, parallel minor chords. So let's go back. Let's grab it back out of the hat. D minor, sequence. F minor, C minor, right? Sequence. Keep the motivic development. Head back towards the key that we were already in, which is E flat, right? G, D, F, C minor. We're just folding ourselves in towards E flat. But I'm not going straight to E flat. I'm gonna go to D flat sus4. But the melody is E flat. Right? E flat major. I'm leading us right back to E flat. Sequence. But we're gonna go modern on this, changing the rhythm. We're going from 6 now to 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, I'm going to, oh, sorry, I wasn't on the second page there, but we looked at that earlier. I'm going to pull up my overhead shot and just show you on the piano what this looks like here. I'm doing fifths when I'm playing this. A flat minor, and this is the E flat over G. No, sorry. E flat major 7. I'm keeping that flat 5 in there. And then this E flat add 4 chord, E flat major triad with the added 4. This is a beautiful chord. Classical composers have used it. I really love this, fell in love with this chord from playing Gabriel Santiago's music. He uses it a lot, and it's just a beautiful, beautiful chord. I think Lyle Mays used this chord a lot. So back to this D section, and just to show you in real time, I'll take the 4 bars before the D. As and just to speak to the reality of what happens on a recording session, is that we had some flexibility in the timing, and we kind of felt it. We were feeling it as a group, and particularly the way Drew Heller, our drummer, was feeling this is like more as triplets than as da 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 da. So we wound up playing like dee 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 da da da, which is really like da ga da dig it dum, right? Da ga da ga do. And it's cool. And honestly, we kind of maybe dropped the 16th note here or there in some of those things. In fact, bar 3, we decided to uh, really massage the 16th note anticipation. Um, da dee da dee 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 da dee da dee da da. It's like maybe the 16th note not even there. And we talked about that in rehearsal. And, it's cool. Like playing music doesn't have to be executing a perfect mathematical equation every time, right? It's like saying what wants to be said. And what wanted to be said in this composition is not really about the math of it, it's about the gesture and the phrase, right? Da dee da da dee da. So I wasn't like, oh no, it absolutely has to be sorry about that. It wasn't like ba 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 ba. It's like, okay, let's not even try to count that and figure that out. We're gonna play it the way we feel it. Um, so yeah. So the last element of this tune uh, is the improv section. And this is where we get into what I was calling motif and loop. Right? Loop is a big part of modern jazz in particular, but jazz in general. And let's see, I'm going to pull back up this overhead. And you can see here it's kind of small probably, but now I'm really enjoying the modern rhythm thing of the E of the 16th note. So we have one E and right? And if you hit on the E, it's very like it's like jab. So we get 1, 2 E, and then we get 4, 1 E. So 1, 2 E, 4, 1 E, 3, 4, 1, 2 E, 4, 1 E, 2, 3, 4. And again, so that there's that motif, right? Bum, ba. And then there's a repetition of it in a way that puts it over the bar line. And there's a loop. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. And we loop that 4 times, and that gives John, whoever, a really nice palette to play over. There's a whole bunch that could be said on how to play over a loop like this. But suffice it to say, most of this you can play like E minor blues, like E minor pentatonic, E minor natural minor scale, or some version of E minor bluesiness. Not just maybe not on the first chord where it's like E major. E minor pentatonic. So really like E flat, just bluesiness, and then like modern bluesiness with chromaticism. So all that kind of language is what's going on here. The last phrase is really actually built around being able to keep E flat on the top. Right? A flat, A7, A flat over B, E flat 7, D7, that'll be a flat 9, D flat, this will be a natural 9, this will be a sharp 9 on C, it'll be the 3 on B, and then the 7 on E. All right, so that's the solo section. And that, I think, is all I'm going to say about this tune today. Again, there's a ton that we could then unpack going into it. The reharm stuff that I mentioned, I want to go into that. I think that deserves its own video. So I'm going to save that for maybe next week, and I will give you guys the PDFs that I have for resolving to a goal and reharmonizing a melody, and we'll talk about that framework and how I think about that stuff. All right, I hope you enjoyed this tune. Hope if you're inspired, you try to play the chart, and let me know if you have questions or comments about this. All right, take care, y'all.